ProfsCast with Professor Fensterle and guests. Yeah, welcome to the ProfsCast. My name is Joe Fensterle. I'm professor of biotechnology, bioengineering at the Rhine-Waal University in Kleve. And my guest today is Karsten Fischer. Karsten, a warm welcome to the ProfsCast.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Yeah, nice to have you here. Karsten, to describe you shortly, I would say the scientist who was lost to business. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. So you're still a scientist, or you're now completely in business, or what? How would you describe yourself?
I would say I'm rather now a focused scientist, so to say, since ultimately we earn on scientific knowledge and try to build products, and products just become better if also the science behind it is valid. So yeah, I get more scientific each day. And for example, even this morning, we had a very interesting discussion with our scientists. And I said, well, here is a negative control missing. So, so the science part is highly relevant. However, you need to somehow focus scientists. They want to do this and that and this and that. And then you say, no, we need to focus here because this is going to earn us money. This is nice to know. So it's both. Yeah, you always have to have both to make a solid decision.
So it's bad for the employees is if the CEO is also a scientist, because he can ask for negative controls.
Sometimes I think they're a bit annoyed of my stupid ideas and that I try to.
Okay. Could you briefly describe what you actually do at this moment, or what the job is, your company?
What I'm actually doing is, well, obviously as a CEO, you are in a biotech company mostly responsible for getting funding. So I'm just running after the money. I mean, that's obviously the business part. Secondly, I'm running after collaborations. That's the business development part. But again, of course, as said, the fundament is derived by scientific advancements. And so with regard to strategy and operations, I still have to know what the company does. I mean, we're a small company. We are now 11 FTEs in total, and that means myself and 10 scientists. So I have a hard standing as well. You can imagine. But so I need to somehow funnel and concentrate these efforts into the right direction. And this right direction obviously gives us some interesting results with regard to the products we are developing, and these results are then taken to make some marketing towards investors as well as pharma companies.
Before we forget it, so what is your company actually, Karsten?
My company, that's Memo Therapeutics. We have a very nice antibody discovery engine, and I mean everybody knows antibodies. But the thing is, to produce antibodies is not as trivial as we thought. There are huge differences in quality. And if you use hybridoma technology, you see 0.1% of the repertoire that a patient can generate against a pathogen or an epitope or whatever. And using our technology, we can see at roughly 80% of the repertoire. And this is, as you can see, roughly 100 times more than normal technologies, and therefore we find better antibodies. We find very rare antibodies, and these show a much better capabilities in terms of potential therapeutic effect.
Why should you look for antibodies?
Why should I look for antibodies? They're a proven therapeutic modality, A, and B, I think the cost-benefit ratio is quite attractive. So if you look at these modern therapeutic concepts where you have cellular therapies and you need 500K per patient to treat him, that's quite a lot. I think these are all valid approaches. However, they are very cost intensive. And given that the developing countries would like to have therapeutic options, and B, we face a significant financial problem caused by the COVID-19 crisis, I think cost-benefit ratios will be quite important in the future. And then antibody therapies are a good way to go forward tackling that challenge.
Okay, so maybe this is your actual thing. Maybe we go back a bit and talk about your scientific career first. So what was your scientific career?
Basically, my scientific career, I mean, I've done a PhD in infectious biology at the same lab where you have been with Professor Stefan Kaufmann. I also was...
So at the Max Planck Institute for Infection Biology in Berlin.
Biology, correct. And also at the Colorado State University to do some lipid chemistry here. But I then obviously left science. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's a sad thing. But ultimately, the funny thing is, and that's really intriguing, is that I'm now, so to say, back in exactly where I did my PhD, because we are currently developing antibodies. That is what I said. But we are developing these antibodies against pathogens. Haha. So.
Okay. Now, did you always want to become a CEO? So what do you dreamt when you started your career? So in school, did you think of becoming a scientist, or where does it all started?
Actually, I already after my diploma, I thought, pure science. And then I was sitting in Marienfelde, which was a BSL-3 lab, with my PhD supervisor. He was, I think, 40-something at that point in time. And we were basically starting at 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening and just killing mice all day. And I think, Joe, you know what I'm talking about. And I thought, and he was like 12 years older than myself, and thought, this is maybe not a career I'm trying to proceed. So at that point in time, it was clear that I'd do something different rather than following just a pure scientific career path. And that's also why I did some economic studies while my PhD. So I always I prepared myself for leaving that sector, so to say.
Okay, maybe to hinder that all of my students now run out of science, you can also do it differently, because I was together with Leander always in this Marienfelde, or often together with him. And after also 10 hours of BSL-3 experiments in the animal facility, we went to a bar in Marienfelde having one beer. And this then made us friends again with science. I think this is the important thing. That you should have tried that. It didn't work.
I think beer, it wasn't one beer, it was rather 10 beers, because the day was so horrible. But hey, wow, that's just the point.
Okay. Okay. But you always thought something biology, biochemistry, or even at school already. So this was already the field you were interested in and were thinking of. Okay, that's cool. So what did you do to go later on in business administration, or in this business direction?
For example, I had finished my diploma, and then I went into the life science team of Ernst & Young for 3 months in between diploma and PhD. So there I got already in contact with venture capital, the concept, and with biotech area. And then I started doing a bachelor in economics at the Fernern University in Hagen. And obviously then I had, so to say, 2 parts. And then I have been looking onto different opportunities after my PhD. And obviously I had the chance to stay in science, but I was also talking to pharma companies where there were classical, let's say, pharma jobs after the PhD. But I also went to some venture capitalists, and including Deutsche Venture Capital, affiliate of Deutsche Bank, who were looking for an analyst at that time. And then I applied there and got the job. Basically, that was decisive for the next moves.
Okay, Karsten, would you again go in this direction if you could choose again?
And I mean, you've been hinting during our conversation quite a couple of times, and then you have been becoming CEO, and said, "No, it still took." Maybe the next time when we will try to become a CEO a bit earlier, because thing is, yeah. But I think that's a personal question, because I think I do like to be quite independent, and I do like to make my own decisions and go into the direction I think is relevant. Because if you are, for example, working in larger organizations, you are so restricted with regard to what you can do and what you can decide. And secondly, you realize that it's most of the times the higher you get in a hierarchy, the lesser important really the value of what you're doing is, but the more important it is how clever and political you act, and how kind of you position yourself is becoming more and more important compared to what you actually do. And I think personally, I try to have an impact, and I try to develop my projects efficiently towards hopefully a success. I tend not to be, or I tend to like not to be to spend too much of my resources into political games, and that's why I think being your own boss, as you termed it, is quite rewarding, I think. So I should maybe have spared out maybe Sanofi, for example.
So, but the same. But if I understood you correctly, the same way, the same direction. So still medical research, but become a CEO faster. That's the end. Okay, Karsten. I think everything on my list we have discussed. It was a real pleasure to talk to you, and I think now for the students especially, they also see how a scientific career can turn into business, and that it's not evil to turn into business. And what is it like to be in business, and what you actually have to do there in the biotech field.
But on the other hand, that still the scientific advancement is the key driver of the value of what I've been here representing.
Yeah, this is, thank you very much. So we shouldn't forget, you are a scientist, what we have already said at the beginning. You're the one who can also say negative controls. And if it just would come from a business school, real innovations, no.
Exactly. And secondly, I mean, you have to understand the innovation, because if you don't understand it, what you have to do is always in front of investors, you have to really convince them, and you can only be convincing if you really understand what you're doing, and that you can full-heartedly say, we are the best.
Okay, you can it, okay. Karsten. I'm quite sure that you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Karsten. I would say thanks a lot. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And now also to the listeners, thank you very much for the listeners. As always, the full version of this podcast is on Spotify and the other streaming platform, and on YouTube there is a shortened version, of course, with pictures. So thanks to all of you, and looking forward to seeing you again next time.